Welcome to Love Thy Selfies. I'm Melissa, and this is a podcast where self-love gets real. Not fluffy, not preachy, just human. Sometimes we'll go deep, and sometimes we'll laugh. But every episode will remind you of one thing. You're already enough. So grab your coffee, take a breath, and let's do this together.
Welcome back to the LoveThySelfies Podcast. So today I want to sit down and I just want to have a real conversation about something that I've been documenting over the past few weeks, which is my first 7 weeks on a GLP-1. And if you've been following along on my blog, you have probably seen a lot of pieces of this story already because I've been writing about everything like metabolism, hydration, workouts, digestion, and also energy. But today, I wanted to bring all of it together in just one place and talk through what this experience has actually felt like inside my body. Because before I started this journey, I probably did what most people do. I went to the internet and I tried to find every answer I possibly could to see if this was something that I was actually interested in doing. And some people talked about GLP-1 medications like they were this miracle drug or like a magical overnight transformation tool. Other people made them sound horrible, like they were absolute misery, filled with side effects and instant regret. But what I didn't see very often were just calm, honest, like real people having real conversations about what the adjustment period actually looks like. So that's what today's episode is. It's just the truth of what these first few weeks have actually looked like for me in my body. And before we talk about side effects or metabolism or anything scientific, I have to tell you the truth about my first injection because I was terrified. I had done all the research and I knew that the needle was tiny. It didn't matter to me because I knew millions of people give themselves these injections every week. But none of that mattered when it was actually time to literally inject myself. So I made my husband give me the first shot, of course. And the funniest part is I did not feel it at all. There wasn't even a pinch. Like afterwards, though, he told me that he hated having to do that to me. Like I can't even imagine trying to stab my husband with a needle. So I understand. Even though it didn't hurt me emotionally, it just felt so strange to him and it was too hard. So that's why I decided that I was going to have to learn how to do it myself. I will be so honest with you. The first couple times was so awkward. There was even one time that I tried to like stab the injector into my stomach too hard and it literally bounced right back out. So I had to stab myself again. I was just standing there laughing because clearly the pen was designed for me to be a little more gentle somehow. And I learned that I didn't have to be some cinematic worthy stabbing every week. Eventually, I finally figured out the right technique. And now it only takes me about 10 seconds. And honestly, it is the easiest part of the whole process. So if that is what you're worried about, you get used to it so quickly. So I think the easiest way to tell this story is to go week by week with how I was feeling. As is life, when you start something new, the rest of your life doesn't stop or slow down or wait for you to catch up after you adjust. In my experience, I was just thrust into the craziness from day one. But I just wanted to feel better, so I decided to dive in head first. Week 1 felt like my body saying, okay, there's something new happening here. GLP-1, it's actually a hormone that your body already produces naturally in your gut. So it's released when you eat and it communicates with multiple systems in the body. And it talks to everything like the pancreas, the brain, the stomach, even the cardiovascular system. Its job is to help regulate your appetite, insulin signaling, and your digestion. So when you take a GLP-1 medication, you're essentially amplifying a hormonal signal that your body already uses. And during that first week, the biggest thing that I noticed was just feeling so incredibly full. I felt satisfied so much faster than usual, and food stayed with me so much longer. But week 1 was also super emotionally heavy for me because my grandma passed away that week. I had been helping my family care for her during hospice, and our entire family was navigating the process of lovingly saying goodbye to her. So the first 2 nights after I had my injection, I had trouble sleeping. But honestly, it's impossible to know how much of that came from the medication and how much of that came from grief. And I am learning that our bodies don't separate emotional stress from physical stress very well. So week 1 was really just me surviving an impossible situation while my body started adjusting in the background. Now, Week 2 is when the appetite regulation became so much more noticeable for me. So for the first time in years, food noise, it just was gone. And if you've ever struggled with constantly thinking about food, like what you're going to eat next, or when you're going to eat next, or how much you should eat next, you know how loud that mental loop can be. And suddenly it was just gone. It was quiet. I felt like I had dipped my head underwater and everything was just completely still. And I could feel when it was time to eat because I would get nauseous, not hungry. And that is actually tied to dopamine pathways in the brain. GLP-1 medications interact with reward pathways, which means that food stops triggering the same reward signals that it used to. And that is why so many people describe feeling free from constant cravings. But what I've also learned is that shifting can also temporarily affect your energy levels. So dopamine is connected to motivation and drive. So when those pathways recalibrate, some people experience fatigue during the adjustment period. And for me, there was another thing happening too. I was not drinking enough water. So when your appetite drops, hydration often drops with it. And that means I was not getting the electrolytes I needed. I was missing sodium, potassium, magnesium, and those things really dropped too. So once I started adding electrolytes to my water, every single time I filled up, my energy improved dramatically. And sometimes the body just needs minerals. So week 3 wasn't about optimizing anything. After my grandma passed away, I started helping care for my 95-year-old grandpa while he was navigating his own grief. And anybody who has walked through loss with your family, you know how emotionally exhausting that can be. So during that time, I was not focused on workouts or macros or routines or even food. I was cooking meals, I was cleaning the house and helping family and doing whatever needed to be done. And something really interesting happened. My body, it just kept adjusting anyway. The medication did all of it for me. Even when my life wasn't perfectly structured or optimized, it was so nice because the medication was still regulating my appetite and my blood sugar signals. It was so quiet, in the background. So I didn't even think about it or worry about it. And that was actually a really powerful lesson for me. Healing does not require perfect conditions. You don't have to be perfect to make progress. And that is one of the biggest reasons why this medication has just been the best blessing for me. So week 4 was the biggest physical adjustment for me. So that is when I increased my dose from 2.5 milligrams to 5 milligrams. And wow, that was a noticeable change. My appetite completely went away. And I found myself relying on protein shakes for several days, especially for dinner, because nothing sounds good to me. And I had no desire to eat. I knew that it was time for either a shake or some chicken soup when the nausea kicks back in. And that happens because GLP-1, it slows your gastric emptying. So food is literally staying in your stomach longer. When the dosage increases, the body sometimes needs a few days to adjust to that stronger signal. So keeping meals really simple during that week, it helped me so much. And also knowing that you're not going to feel great the week that you up your dose. It's just an amazing piece of information to have. Take it from me. So by week 5, I finally started feeling ready to move my body again. My workouts were really inconsistent. I wasn't going to the gym and just pounding the weights, but I still was getting my workouts and I was moving my body. Most days I just walked. And this is where I started experimenting with something that surprised me. I talked to my doctor and she told me that instead of pushing incline treadmill workouts like I used to, she told me to add a weight vest to my simple, easy daily walks. And that was so hard for me because for years I believed that the best cardio was the hardest cardio. But once I started thinking about metabolism differently, then the questions I asked myself really began changing. So instead of asking, how many calories can I burn per workout? I really started asking, what signal am I sending to my body? And it was amazing because I just followed how I felt. So if I felt like trash, I would just do yoga stretches or walking. But I noticed that when I had a little bit more energy and I added the weight vest, weighted walking really gave my muscles the resistance without spiking my stress hormones the way that intense cardio sometimes does. And I noticed because I have my Oura ring on and my stress levels went down. So my energy improved, my recovery improved, and most importantly, my consistency improved because I was not punishing myself at the gym constantly. I was literally just going outside, being in the sunshine and walking, which feels so good. So by week 6, everything really felt like it was finally clicking for me. My body started feeling predictable again. My workouts followed my energy. So on lower energy days, I walked or I did yoga. And then on stronger days, I lifted weights or I just added resistance to my walks. I love that my hydration was consistent because it gave me so much energy. My digestion started stabilizing, which is incredible because I had my gallbladder removed. So that was one of my biggest stressors over the last 10 years is just having a regular bathroom schedule. And now I do, and it's amazing. And I know that a lot of people struggle when they're on a GLP-1. So there are so many things that you can do. You can add a magnesium supplement that adds hydration into your bowels and it moves the entire thing versus if you just take like a fiber supplement, it kind of gets stuck in there and it takes a little while to work. Or if you're consistently eating fiber, then you're good to go. I also noticed that the food noise is just gone. It's so weird. Like it takes a while to get used to it because your relationship with food just completely changes. And for the first time, everything just feels so calm. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I feel perfect, but I do feel so much more balanced. Like, I hope this isn't TMI, but the gas and the bloating and the cramping that I used to suffer from, it is completely gone. I still am struggling with cystic acne, but I had done so much research, and from what I can tell, it takes a few months. So like all of the hormones are balancing out, and hopefully within the next couple months, that's going to improve too. I have done a ton of research on things that could happen to me in the future, and I have read the science to back up the plans that I've made to prevent those things from happening. So if you want to learn more about that, you can read the full blog post about this on my website. I have it linked in the description of this episode. It is literally called GLP-1 Side Effects Week by Week. So go check it out there if you're interested. I think the biggest lesson that I learned from these last weeks wasn't about weight loss for me. It was about trusting my body and realizing that my body wasn't broken. It was just overcompensating and it needs help. It was responding to the wrong signals. And once those signals became calmer, then my body was able to start responding more calmly too. And I feel like I have gotten my life back. The weight loss is consistent. I'm maintaining my muscle mass and I'm reaching my goals. I'm not even close to perfect. I just want you to know that I am not trying to tell you that I have been perfect this whole time, which is why I wanted to go week by week so you guys saw what my personal journey has looked like. And I know in a lot of my podcast episodes and a lot of the blog posts, I have literally been spouting research because that's what I've been doing. That's the type of person I am. I love having information. In my mind, information is power. So if the more that I know about what could happen, the more that I can research about how to prevent things and how to be ready. So I do want you to know I am not even close to perfect, and that is okay. There are a lot of days where I just don't feel my best, and I am learning to give myself the gift of rest, empathy, and gentle movement without feeling guilt or shame. And it is one of the most beautiful gifts I've been able to give myself. So another important thing that I've realized during this journey is that this phase is just a season. The weight loss portion of this process, it does not last forever. I know it seems like it can because for some people, like for me, I'm trying to lose 70 pounds. I'm down 10, which means, and I've done that, I have done 10 pounds in 7 weeks, which is extremely consistent. It means that my average is about 1 to 1.5 pounds per week. So that means I'm going to be on this weight loss drug for probably about 1.5 to 2 years, depending on the journey, depending what I go through, depending on how my body adjusts. And to be so honest, that is super healthy. That's a really great timeline when you are losing 70 pounds off your body, it needs to be a slow process. So something I am really reminding myself constantly of is that once someone reaches their goal weight and they transition to a maintenance dose, most people find that their routines become so much more stable. Like your energy levels are more stable, you're on a much lower dose, so you feel better, you're able to eat consistently. Your energies level out, your appetite stabilizes, and the whole body just settles into a new, beautiful rhythm. So, right now is simply an adjustment phase for me. And adjustment phases are very rarely perfect. And a lot of times they're just not very comfortable. They're messy, they're emotional, they're full of learning curves, but they are temporary. So, if you are walking through this season too, I just want you to know you're not alone. Your body isn't failing you. It is learning and growing and pivoting and making the changes that it needs to make. And learning takes time. So be gentle with yourself. Be easy with yourself. And remember that you don't have to do it perfectly. There is no such thing. You just have to keep showing up with patience and kindness towards yourself. I truly hope that you found so much value and empathy and love in this series because I have tried to pour all of that into it. I have learned so much through this process, through the research, through starting, and I am so thrilled that I'm able to share it with you guys. I truly feel so lucky to have access to this medication because it really is changing my life for the better. And along the way, I've realized how much making the decision to take this path has been one of the biggest moments of radical self-love that I have chosen for myself. And it has completely inspired me to start a new chapter of radical self-love for myself. And that is what I'm going to be sharing next week, right back here, is the Love Thy Selfies challenge. So if that is something you're interested in following along for, I would love to see you back here. If you're interested in learning more about GLP-1 medications, you should check out Weight Care, which is where I get my medication from. It is an online telehealth platform. So you get on the website, you schedule an appointment, and they have someone call you. You talk through medication options, they talk through pricing. And then if you're interested in talking to a doctor to see if you'll actually qualify, then you can schedule an appointment. And it is so amazing because I literally get the doctor on the phone for 45 minutes, just asking all the questions that I had done research on. I told her my whole entire medical health journey of where I'd been over the last decade, what I was going through. And she was so patient and kind in walking me through things, giving me so many great tips that she had learned from her patients along the way. It was just such a positive experience. So if you're interested in that, I have a code that will help you save $200 off your first purchase. That will be linked in my podcast episode description as well. So if you guys are interested, the link and my code will be in the description. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my journey and to follow along. And I hope you come back next week for the Love Thy Selfies challenge. Thank you for being here, friend. Namaste, bestie.
Thanks for listening to Love Thy Selfies. I'm Melissa, and while I'm not a therapist, I believe in the power of everyday self-love. So let's keep it simple, breathe deep, laugh often, and remember, you are already worthy of love exactly as you are. I'll see you next time.